Got us a new power plant here. So this is actually a L8T. So this is an LT series engine, but it is also a 6.6 liter. This is 2020 or 21. I can't remember what it was, but as you can see right there, it's a 6.6 liter LT engine. This is actually going to be going in a 1979 Trans Am. We're doing a kind of a small build on that. We're going to be doing a bunch of suspension and fab work here real soon. But we got the engine here. We need to get it prepped, tore down to some degree. This engine will get a cam in it. And like all this junk that you see here is just going to be gone, taken off. So we're going to get started on that right now. Like I said, we need to prep this engine and get it ready to go down in the Trans Am so we can do a bunch of mock-up, because it's going to look quite a bit different. It's going to be an interesting build. We'll get the exhaust manifolds off. We'll get the complete wiring harness off. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the intake off. All these are plastic covers, so all that's covered up. But again, everything's coming off this engine. It will get a Texas Speed cam. That'll be here shortly. See the intake manifold off, exhaust manifolds off, engine mounts off, the complete wiring harness off. That's all right here. Made some more progress on the 6.6 here. We did get our engine swap headers. And if I come around to this side, you can see we have our engine swap mounts on there too. These are actually Speed Engineering, the headers and the adapter mounts. The engine mounts are just normal small block Chevy 3-bolt engine mounts with a cross bolt. We're going to try and make them work into the chassis that this thing is going into. But the headers fit really nice. The only slight issue I see with the headers fitting the engine itself with these mounts is they just touch the engine mount right there. And if you look at the head, it is holding it off the bottom. You can see a light gap at the bottom, and it's tight at the top. So we will have to modify that, either grind a little bit on this engine plate or massage that header a little bit there. But everywhere else, even back here, and this may, obviously that's going to allow that header to go in towards the bottom, so it may end up getting close to here, but we are gonna, this is the oil cooler and that was cut when we got it, so we're gonna do an oil cooler block off plate. I think I'm gonna reuse that sensor, so we'll get a block off plate with that sensor fitting in there. This side fits beautifully, tons of clearance everywhere. We'll see how it fits in the chassis, but so far so good. And of course, we're not going to leave this stock. It is going to get painted, but for right now, I was just test fitting everything. The engines or the engine mount's going to come back off. The headers will come back off, and front cover is going to come off because we do have a Texas Speed cam for this thing. And speaking of, pop this box open, and all of our goodies are in here from Texas Speed. We have their push rods. LT engines take the 3/8 push rod, so it's got the bigger, they're actually slightly, I think they're longer too, but they have the larger diameter push rods. We have a cam, we have their valve springs, and a couple other pieces to make all this work. We do have the ARP balancer bolt, and in this box is the cam phaser bolt. You're supposed to replace them every time, so we're going to play it safe and just replace that. These GM gaskets here are actually water pump gaskets. And then, of course, we have our pack 660 springs in this kit. I don't know if these weren't even opened yet. But right here is the part number. And they are for an LT engine. And what cam are we going for? Let's open it up. So here's our cam. It's the Texas Speed and Performance Gen 5 LT1, which this is loosely based off of. It's just a bigger version with an iron block. And it is their LC7 cam. And if I get it opened up here, we'll check out the specs inside on the cam card. They did start shipping these out in a different box. It's much more padded now. As you can see, it's got styrofoam holding everything in place. So the cam is in there, and the cam cards are now a kind of a sheet of paper instead of a small card. So right here is our specs. It is a 645 631 lift, and at duration at 50 thousandths is a 231 245, and that's on a 112 lobe separation angle. So nice healthy cam. This in a 6.2 made good power on their dyno, and it's supposed to be fairly rowdy as far as sound. It's their most aggressive VVT cam for the LTs, so it will mellow it out just ever so slightly because this is a 6.6 liter engine over the 6.2, but it's just about a half liter, so it's not that much bigger, but it will make a little bit of a difference. So with that being said, we need to disassemble some stuff here. We'll go ahead and take a 24mm socket. We got our impact here, and we'll pop that balancer bolt out, get the balancer pulled off. We're going to go ahead and pop these valve covers off. I did loosen this one up so we can pop it off. As you can see, this is a very low miles, supposed to have right around 6,000 miles on it. Extremely clean inside, as you would expect, even under the oil or the valve cover here on the splash pan. So it appears to be correct, but we have some disassembling so we can get that Texas speed cam slid into this block. As you can see, we have the spark plugs pulled out. One of the first things we're going to do is we have to remove this high pressure oil pump, or high pressure fuel pump from the back of the engine here, the valley cover, and that actually runs, because that actually runs off the cam lobe. There's a 3-lobe cam lobe, 3-lobe on the back of the cam that runs this, and there's another little lifter. Obviously, if we don't take that out, we're gonna have problems getting the cam out and back in. So 17mm, we'll pop these injector lines loose. With that loosened up, we're just going to reinstall on the line on this end to keep junk out. Just flip it over, put a rag over that, and it is a 13mm bolt here and a bolt down here. We'll go ahead and pop that loose. Whoops. And we're going to break this loose and make sure it's even side to side as we pull that out, because that is spring loaded. We'll evenly release the pressure there. So we don't damage anything. All of our pressure's off, and now we can just stack our bolts out. The last line we have to unhook, we're actually just going to leave this on. This is your main feed line from the gas tank to the high pressure pump, and it just gets held on with a 10mm bolt right there on the valve cover bracket. So we'll take that off and leave it. No sense, we don't need to disconnect that. We'll leave it right on the pump, get rid of that. We can lift that pump right up out of the way. Got that loosened up. Now we can, like I said, just pull this pump right up out of the way. You can see the spring on the bottom side there, and we'll take and set this whole assembly to the side. With that out of the way, we're going to jump down and actually take the balancer off. Wow, that one's pretty tight. That usually pops them right out. Sometimes if you have issues getting them out, you can slightly heat that crank bolt. Releases that sealer, whatever they put on that bolt, Loctite, whatever it is, loosens it up just enough to get it off. So I'm gonna hit this a couple more times and see if it comes out. If not, we'll take our handheld torch and just lightly heat that bolt. You're not damaging anything. Sometimes you just need to. And on this one, we're gonna need to. So we have our little torch here. Just gonna lightly heat that up. seal here. Remember, this thing, when it runs, gets up over 200 degrees anyway, so. Let's give that a shot. Come off here. Just like that, backs right out. Get my puller rigged up on here. And these pull off usually a little easier than the LS because they are keywayed. They're not just press fit. So this will pull off pretty easy. We'll go ahead and pull our front cover off here. With that balancer out of the way, you can see the keyway here.